Where are they going? Party's just starting!
Transformers Armada was essentially a very, I'd say, divisive toy line and TV show. Some people loved it, some people absolutely hated it, especially the toys and their lack of articulation due to the abundance of gimmicks in them. Some toys were received fairly well, others were okay-ish received but had some criticism, and some were not so well received. At least by some people. Some were rather divisive. One of those is who we are taking a look at today, as, well, if it's not obvious by the little cutscene of the video game in the beginning, it is Armada Hot-Shot with his Minicon partner Jolt. Now, yes, I am missing one of Jolt's arms, and I am missing Hot-Shot's gun. What the gun would have looked like is this.
Yep, the little engine block you see there. It also doubles as the double-barreled pistol blaster thing. And there's the missile as well, which is one of the hubcaps for the wheels. And speaking of blaster, this figure can't actually hold it properly, except the United Legacy version can hold it properly because it's got the handle that enables him to hold it like he did in the show. This is a new release of the Armada Hot-Shot figure, by the way. This is relatively new. This is not the original.
Now, that being said, I do have the main figure and I do have the Minicon. Yes, as I did mention a few seconds ago, I'm missing the arm. I will be making a new arm. The missile I'm missing as well. This is what I could afford. I couldn't get a complete Hot-Shot as he does go for quite a bit, especially mint in package. He can go for a lot. Now, Hot-Shots did have a few different releases. We have the original 2003 release here, which, gosh, that makes this toy 20 years old. Bloody hell. We also have the Powerlinks version, which looks like so.
Yep, here's the Hasbro version of the Powerlinks Hot-Shot. Looks a little bit like Hot Rod from G1, doesn't it? And here is the Takara version. And as you can see, there's a subtle amount of differences. The paint is a little bit better. And speaking of a different release, here we have the United Legacy version, which also comes with Jolt for the original version. And here is the 2008 Universe Hot-Shot, which had issues, but was a bit better in some respects.
And speaking of other releases, we have the McDonald's one here as well, which has significantly better shoulder articulation because he can rotate his shoulders. Oh, and here's a variant of the McDonald's release. There is an Asian version as well. This is for the McDonald's in the Asian regions, such as Japan and China. It is fairly different looking. I don't really know much about it, but, well, it's another release of Armada Hot-Shot, so there's that.
Now, with the releases out the side, let's take a look at these two together. Now, they do have a combined form, a combined super vehicle form, which I believe they used in the show. I can't honestly say. I never really saw much of the show as a kid. My Transformers Armada growing up was the 2004 video game. That was literally my Transformers Armada. So, this kind of thing, while it does look weird and I guess sort of coolish, it doesn't really resonate with me because I never even saw it. So you put Jolt on the back like so, and you flip that down. Now, you would put the gun on top and it would release these. I don't have the gun, but luckily I can open these and it reveals a pair of saw blades. And I don't really quite know how I feel about this, to be honest. I don't mind the Jolts being on the back so much, though it is ridiculous how a Minicon could carry the weight of an entire Cybertronian on him, given that Hot-Shot's at least 10 to 20 times the size of Jolt and probably weighs 400 times the amount. Whatever. The saw blades I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of, and yes, I am aware there is some discoloration here and here. Not really sure what that's about, but this guy's going to be getting repainted anyway to be more like he is in the game. That being said, I don't know. I really don't know. Now, with that out of the way, we will be doing some comparisons with the others. So we'll start with Jolt here. We'll quickly compare him with the other two Minicons that featured in the game, which are Long Arm and Sparkplug. These two have pretty much been painted, though I do have a metallic black that I need to now redo Long Arm in. And you can see that they've got quite a lot of scuffs on them. They're meant to be like that. It's game accuracy. But either way, it's nice to have the 3 main Minicons from the game. Now, I do also have lift door as well, because I did get Armada smokescreen around the time. So I do have lift door as well. And that is Jolt. Now, we will compare Hot-Shot quickly with the others, to which I have Red Alert. As you can see, he's also been painted up. And I do also have Optimus Prime, who is mostly customized but not quite finished. And again, the metallic paint job is accurate to the video game. And you can see there's quite a decent size difference. And I'd say this is pretty much an accurate size difference, really. The sports car being the smallest, the kind of SUV being mid-size, and the truck, well, the truck should be a lot bigger, but, you know, it's a little small, but it's not a big deal. And that is Hot-Shot. I will quickly compare him as well with Armada Smokescreen, who is way too small, but was released as a deluxe class. And I do also have Energon Rapid Run, who is a repaint of a Transformers Armada mold, that being Armada Sideways, just given a new name and releasing Transformers Energon. And then I also have Armada Cyclonus as well, from the video game, who is being painted to have a video game accurate look. And I am missing the missiles, I know. I haven't got around to getting those yet. I do also have Galvatron as well. This is one that I had when I was a kid. I don't have Megatron yet, but I do intend to complete the set. And Clench is attached on there because that's how you saw in the video game. Well, it was Leader 1 attached on Megatron, but you get the idea. This is my original from when I was a kid, just like Optimus Prime. Now, that being said, we will start with Jolt now. And Jolt is pretty cool. And decent little helicopter. Nice amount of detail on him. You can see there's lots of little rivets and screw holes and whatnot sculpted into him, which is pretty nice. Got the Minicon symbol there. Got some little windows at the top which aren't painted. But a really, really nice amount of detail. Now, he does have 2 little holes there because the gun would peg onto underneath of him. And Jolt could carry this. Not really sure why, but I don't know. It must be something that happened in the show. Now, what is interesting to note is Jolt actually has 2 Minicon ports, which is very, very unusual. I've never really seen a Minicon like this before with 2 ports. Usually they just have 1, but Jolt, well, has 2 for some reason. Now, we will go ahead and transform Jolt. Like all Minicons, it's pretty simple. You just hinge that out of the way, fold these down, like so. We'll open them out, split them, rotate this piece down, this will form the arm, fold the tail fin down, and just close it up. And there you have Jolt in his robot mode. And he's actually a pretty decent looking little Minicon. He's got a nice head on him, nice amount of detail. He looks pretty good. He does have an okay amount of articulation as well for a Minicon. You know, his arm is on a little ball joint. It doesn't really go out to the side too much, it mainly just rotates, but that's fine. The legs are on ball joints again, not really going out too much, but they do kick forward and they do kick backward. And due to the way he transforms, he does have a nice knee bend going really far back, which is nice. Oh, and he does have a little bit of detail there as well, which is pretty cool. Now, I'm going to transform him, well, I'll do it later actually, for the gimmick. And then now we'll get onto Hot-Shot. Nice sports car mode, a little scuffed there, but not a big deal. I do like this sports car, actually. It is very nice, and I do like the colour of it. I know some people have complained about the shade of yellow. I kind of like it. It is showing up a little brighter on camera. It's not quite like this in person. It is a little less pale, I should say. You'll see in the pictures at the end that it's actually a very different shade. But do remember, when you do take photos or video footage of a toy, the camera is not going to pick up the colour quite the same way your eyes do. So, and a lot of this right now as the light is shining off of him, you can see the reflection right there. So do be aware that he might look very pale in camera. He's not like it in person. His yellow is much richer. We do have a little bit of an exposed head thing there. But it's not as bad as some others where the entire face, I mean, Jolt, when he's in his helicopter mode, you know, his whole head's just visible. So it's not quite as bad, but still. You do get windows that go all the way to the back, but they're not painted for some reason. Not a big deal. I do like the shade of blue. The blue is nice there. And he's not too bad. You've got some little vents there, and there's even a little gas tank there moulded in, which is nice. And if we turn around to the other side, you get some kind of detail here, which is nice, and some techno detail here, which is pretty cool. Didn't need to do that, but they did it anyway, and I do appreciate that. Now, he does transform, obviously, because he's a Transformer. And it's very simple, being that it's Armada. So these two pieces, I should say, come up like so, and there's the head. These, these come out to form the feet, and then these doors, well, the door and the front of the wheel well, fold down to form the shins. This section comes down like so, and this will split, and then you can rotate these. This will form his legs. These come out like so. We'll just straighten these up and rotate these around. Turn them down, and then you just flip up the visor. And that's Hot-Shot in his robot mode. And it's not actually too bad in robot mode. This is a little bit simpler in paint job than the Takara version, which looked like so. Yeah, there's not really too much difference. The Autobot symbol mainly just being a little bit, more separated. But other than that, it's not too bad. He actually looks pretty decent. Now, if you did have the gun, you could plug it on these 4 holes here, and it would just peg in right in there. And in the show, he could actually wield it in his arm as a, he could hold it as a gun. But unfortunately, that little blaster did not have a handle for him to do so. So, a bit stupid. Now, he does have articulation, but it's pretty poor, really, in the arms. You get the elbow bend, which is 90. That's not bad. But the shoulders do the penguin. This is as much as the shoulders do. He can flap his arms like a penguin. Which is pathetic, because the McDonald's toy, which you saw a few minutes ago, has a full 360 rotation in the shoulders. Well, if you think these arms are bad, let me just show you the prototype of what a Hot-Shot was originally going to be as a toy.
Yeah, whilst the articulation may be significantly better, the figure overall looks worse.
So with that out of the way, moving on, the hips are on ball joints. They can kick pretty high up, provided you bend the knee. Pretty far back. They'll kick out to the side decently. The knee is a ball joint, so it can bend 45, and you can rotate it as well. Not really great, unfortunately, because of, well, he is in the show. I do remember seeing little clips of this. He is the Autobot swordsman in the show. So the 3 Minicons that could combine to form the Star Saber, he could wield it. And as a swordsman, you need to be able to rotate your arm forwards, which he can't do. The most you're getting is that. So not very useful. I mean, you could do that and block, I guess, with the sword, but not great. Now, he does have a Minicon gimmick, as always, so I will quickly just transform Jolt back into his helicopter mode so that we can take a look at that. And again, if I had the missile, it would work fully. Well, sort of. I'll explain. So we take Jolt, and this is actually why it's good that he has 2 Minicon ports, because you have to peg him right on the arse, and this whole thing is going to spring up. It's going to spring up and rotate. Just fold the visor down, and this is where Hot-Shot gets his massive bazooka, which he did use in the show, but he never used it in the video game. Now, if I had the missile, you'd think, well, it would fire out. Sadly, it wouldn't, because there's a little piece of plastic right there that catches on that red switch, that little red button right there. As that red button hits the little bit there, it would eject the missile. Unfortunately, as you can see, the little piece is snapped off. So even if I had the missile, it wouldn't be firing. But what is pretty cool to see is that they still continue the techno details, which is nice. Unfortunately, his arms are riveted in, so getting those out to modify them is going to be a pain in the arse. Now, Hot-Shot in the game did actually plug on the back, well, the arse side of, Jolt plugged on the arse side of Hot-Shot, but he didn't activate the gigantic gun. He just slowed down time and made you significantly faster, and he plugged on like that. Yeah, that's how it looked in the game. But you can still do that with the gun activated. You just, like I said, activate it and then move Jolt there. And it would look like that. Nice as well that the back of the head's been detailed, so that's pretty cool. Again, just folded away. It's nice sparkly blue plastic as well, which is pretty cool. But other than that, you know, that's the only real gimmick Hot-Shot has. And unfortunately, it does take up most of his upper body. You know, his arms can't really do anything, and he has no head articulation. His face is a little derpy, I'm not going to lie. And as you saw in the Powerlinks version, it did get, you know, remodified, remolded, changed a little. I don't really mind it too much, to be quite frank. But, you know. And he does have, of course, the sparkly blue plastic again going in the forearms. And a little bit painted there, and again, the legs there. So he's not actually too bad looking, in my opinion. I quite like him. But, of course, it is, well, it's comparison time. So here we have Hot-Shot and Jolt next to Red Alert, Long Arm, Optimus Prime, and Sparkplug. And this is the complete collection of the 3 that featured in the video game. Now here we have Hot-Shot and Jolt again with Smokescreen and Lift-Door. Now the reason I actually bring in these 2 on their own is because these 2 were originally going to feature in the video game before the video game got a complete redesign from the ground up and these 2 were cut, which was a bit of a shame as I would have liked to have seen more characters from Transformers Armada feature in that video game. But alas, these 2 will still be getting a metallic paint job to fit in with the whole video game theme, even though they never featured in it. But still. And now, we have Hot-Shot and Jolt with Cyclonus, Crumple Zone, Galvatron, and Clench, which these 2 didn't really feature in the video game as separate entities. The only time you ever really saw these 2 was when they were attached to here. Crumple Zone can actually plug onto Cyclonus in vehicle mode, like you saw at the beginning, and in the game, whenever Cyclonus is in his robot mode, Crumple Zone was in tank mode attached to one arm, and Clench, well, Leader 1 in this case, was attached to Megatron's arm. But when in the show, when Megatron became Galvatron, Leader 1, I think, turned into Clench. I'm not sure. I don't know too much. But that is the comparison with 1 and, I guess, half of the Decepticons that feature in the game. Because essentially Galvatron is just Megatron with a new colour scheme, a new name, and more powerful as well. Way more power than he had before. Still. And now we have Hot-Shot next to Transformers Energon Rapid Run. Again, I only compare this guy because he is a repaint of an Armada mold. And here we have Hot-Shot holding the Star Saber like he did in the show, which is also custom painted to be metallic. It's just even worse now because of the arm articulation. Again, he can only really block and parry. It's a shame he can't swing his arm forward. But at some point, I do intend to modify this guy to give him hinge swivel elbows and proper shoulders while still being able to transform and look good. With the size comparisons out the way, it's time for the photo montage and the final thoughts.
And let's just quickly take a look at the model that featured in the 2004 video game. This is his robot form, obviously, as you can see. Nice graphics for the time, actually. This is just an action shot. And here is the actual player model itself, because Hot-Shot was one of 3 playable characters, like I said. And this is what he actually looked like, complete with his gun in the game, which is pretty cool. And overall, I actually really like Armada Hot-Shot and Jolt. Despite the glaring issues, really, which... well, being the fact that in the show he wields a sword and his arms can't swing forwards, I still think he's really cool. He's definitely a lot better than that early prototype version. I think that early prototype version looked pretty horrendous, you know, I'm not going to lie. It looked dreadful in the upper body. I mean, the legs looked very similar to what we got. I think a lot of criticisms on Armada Hot-Shot are a bit on the harsh side, especially as these are toys primarily aimed at kids, you know, they weren't aimed at collectors, sorry. And as a result, you know, the more gimmicks and action features focus of the line over the articulation was more in keeping with that, sorry. But I think overall he's actually really good. He's got a great little sports car mode. It's one of my favourite car forms, actually, of all of the Transformers that I've seen. His robot mode, whilst lacking with the arms, it does look pretty decent, I'm not going to lie. It does look good.
I guess my kind of love for Hot-Shot is helped a bit by the 2004 video game, because, like I said, that's what I grew up. That was my Transformers Armada, even though I mainly played as Optimus Prime. I do like his colours, I will say. I think his colours are pretty neat, though I do not get some of the strange choices that Hasbro made. Like, the Takara version has slightly better paint, and would it really have harmed Hasbro to just paint theirs like the Takara version, considering there's no real difference? Either way, with the other Armadas, he does look really good. And I think being a deluxe helps, because he is a sports car. He's going to be smaller than some of the bigger ones, being bigger vehicles. It makes sense. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Feel free to check out my Instagram. The link will be in the description below, along with the link to Hot-Shot's wiki page, so you can read about him, and you can also read about Jolt, as his wiki page will be there too. And I've literally got to go, because I can hear Cyclonus coming in, and given that Hot-Shot's here and Cyclonus is coming in, well, yeah, those two are literally going to be having a scrap. So I'll see you in the next video. Peace.